Oh my god. Okay, so... What? Right.
And then there's like a scroll.
Alright, so I know it's like a week late.
Yeah, it arrived here just under a week ago, but we decided to wait till the half price day because we were both cheap as fuck. And then we ended up missing the half price day because of important eating of sausages.
We haven't actually eaten the sausages.
Yeah, we had to get them. We went to an artisanal fair and then got back too late to go to the cinema.
Yeah.
So we ended up seeing...
Well, the reason we didn't see it last week is because we had a wedding to go to. A minion wedding, actually.
Yes.
My brother-in-law and sister-in-law and roommate, I think a few of their friends, did go to the midnight showing, and then I had to get up at like 9 in the morning to go to the wedding, so...
See, I would have done that usually, well, especially if it was like Avengers 3 or something.
We had like a really important thing that morning, so we couldn't, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway... We just saw Rogue One. It was really good.
I'm going to be controversial and say that Rogue One is... This is the best Star Wars film I've seen since Empire Strikes Back.
I really, really enjoyed it, you know? But I had a feeling that I'd like it because I went into Force Awakens with an open mind of, okay, it's not going to be like it was when you were a kid, but it could still be good, it could still suck, just don't measure it by the old stuff. But this was a completely new thing. I mean, not obviously Star Wars is not new in the Empire and the Rebellion and the Jedi and stuff like that, but this was... I like how it was Rogue One, a Star Wars story, because I tell you what, it really did feel like I just sat down and read one of the novels cover to cover.
Yeah.
You know? By, like, you know, one of the better novels, by one of the better writers, like Timothy Zahn, or
at least
the
one
guy that wrote Truce at Bakura. That was really good.
At least one person online, I can't remember who it is, but someone who talks about media, it wasn't Movie Bob, but it was someone, who said that basically the Star Wars stories, it's basically it's the most official fan fiction can be. Because, you know, it's not done by Lucas or anything, it's done by other people, completely separate, and it's separated from the main work. It's in the same universe, so it's basically official fan fiction.
No, I mean, well, that was the really, really cool thing about the extended universe, was that, yeah, and apparently there was, like, someone whose job it was at the publisher to keep continuity straight. I mean,
Star Wars is Ian Levine.
But...
He was paid by the BBC to do that with
Doctor
Who.
I know who Ian Levine is.
Do you know what his day job is? He's a producer for soul music. Because after soul was big in America, it became big in the UK and the north of England.
Oh, the Northern Soul! I've heard Todd in the Shadows talk about that.
It had its own big thing, and the guy who sang War, he famously moved to, I believe, Nottingham. You know, War, what is it good for?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he moved to, I believe, Nottingham and spent the rest of his life there. In the north of England.
But this is a war story.
Oh! Yeah, the person who online said that it was the first Star Wars film to be a war film, they get a lot of flack because it does sound really legitimately stupid because, you know, war is in the title. But the other Star Wars films, the prequels are basically political dramas with dancing scenes that are disguised as fights. And then the original...
Hey, capoeiras and
the Aeronauts were onto something with their train to dance
too.
fights. And the original trilogy were basically adventure movies, crossed with little bits of samurai and westerns and, you know, magic shit. Well, but this is a legitimate done, it's basically like a kid's version of a Vietnam War film.
Yeah.
In space.
And you know what I was thinking, towards the end, when one of the main characters was doing something really heroic, and I thought to myself, most of this has, in fact, pretty much all this has occurred without the Force. Like, that's the thing, is like the focal point of A New Hope was, like, you know, was Luke and the core characters, and one of the things that he discovers is the Force, and, you know, it's kind of like, you will become a mage someday, and all that kind of crap, but these were just regular, normal people, I mean, with the exception of, well, we'll get to that.
Of Donnie Yen.
Yeah. But then, I won't, we'll get to a spoilers point, but then, like, when you finally see some real Force action, you're like, yeah! Yeah! Get some! That's the power of the Force.
I have some issues with the exact arrangement of events at the end. That some things were made ridiculous in the context of the bridging of the two stories just so we could have that very sweet, badass scene. So I'm not sure if I should be angry or not, because It's ruining it narratively, it's making it make less sense, but that was fucking sweet.
It was sweet. And Gareth Edwards, maybe everyone will give him money now, because he really deserves it.
Yeah, I mean, Gareth Edwards, everyone shits on the 2014 Godzilla. It was fine. If you saw monsters, you knew what you're getting into. The guy does not do spectacle monster shit. In this one, he does more real, quote-unquote, real-world shit with the mad shit in there, but never the focal point. Yeah. That's his thing.
If you haven't seen Monsters, see it. I mean, we saw it, what was it, like a month ago?
No, I picked up a copy in Blu-ray to show it to you because, you were so excited about Rogue One. I already had a copy of Monsters on DVD, so I was like, oh, Blu-ray, second-hand, for the equivalent of about $2. I will make my wife watch this.
You didn't have to make me. You were like, hey, that movie I was talking about, was it Movie Bob or was it Jim Sterling who did a video about it?
No, it was Good Bad Flicks.
Okay, yeah. And we're like, oh, that one we watched the YouTube video about. Yeah, that looked cool. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, if you don't watch him, Good Bad Flicks is really good in his series Exploring. His other ones is basic riffing stuff, which...
well, you're just not into riffing. He might be a good riffer, but you just might not, because you're not into riffing.
Depends. Some people... I wouldn't put him as a very good riffer. He might be to other people, maybe, but he's definitely not spoony or whatever. But his exploring stuff, his like mini documentaries about the background and the sort of the context of films, that he usually thinks are good, fucking phenomenal. Especially his one on Blair Witch 2, fucking brilliant.
So this is the pre-spoilers time. It was really good.
Yeah,
it really did a really good job.
Yeah, where would you put this in the Star Wars canon, quality-wise?
Well, my favorite's always going to be A New Hope. Well, here's what you have to understand, though. I saw it when I was teeny tiny. We had a VHS copy that I realize now, as an adult, my father probably pirated. Because we had a really primitive VHS player, and we could tape stuff off television, but this had no commercial breaks. So this was not, and I don't even remember when or if New Hope was ever given over for TV optioning.
Oh, probably very early in the 80s or very late in the 70s.
It had
multiple cinema releases in the late 70s. It probably was first aired on TV probably like 80, 81.
I think my dad probably had got a friend of his to pirate it. Like
possible.
To take the original VHS and a double deck and stuff like that.
It's
because
possible.
There's no way we tape that off TV.
That's possible. Either one's possible. It doesn't really matter.
But you have to. I saw that when I was very little. I don't even remember a time when I wasn't aware of Star Wars. Like I had all the Fisher-Price, the little books and records. When you hear R2-D2, turn the page. And like literally, I spent toddlerhood, like probably up until the age of 5 or 6, seriously wanting to grow up to be a Jedi Knight. Like Star Wars was really, really, really important for little proto me. And that's kind of like why I was so excited about the prequels. And I saw them like, oh, were these just bad movies, or were the original trilogy really bad? But I'm seeing it through nostalgia. Better rewatch it. And I rewatched the original. I'm like, no, these were bad movies.
Well,
this was after the first one, obviously.
Well, the prequels are the bad movies.
Yeah. When I say the first 3, I mean chronologically the first 3.
Okay, yes.
So I rewatched the original ones, and I was like, no, the prequels were just
There's a lot of legitimate reasons why the originals are better than the prequels, and it generally has to do with the fact that George Lucas had a bunch of people working for him and with him who were not yes men. One of the main editors on New Hope was his wife. His wife at the time, who had divorced late on in the Star Wars thing, and his work was never quite as good. Like, she's the one who who made several big insistent things, basically saying, she was the one who could tell him to his face that what he was doing was shit, and make him change it. And she was responsible for a bunch of stuff. Like, she was, the first edit of A New Hope was slow, plodding, badly edited. Everyone thought it was really stagey and crap. Was like the prequels, and then apparently she did an edit run of it and cut about 40 minutes out, and that's the one we got. Like apparently the original cut of the Death Star battle scene was apparently like 4 times longer, and it involved multiple attempts, more than there were, and she cut it right down. And
because one thing that you're like almost there. Oh my god!
Yeah. And that poor one, she got...
Great shot, kid. That was 1 in a million.
She gets very little credit for Star Wars. And also, there was...
George Lucas's first wife, if you're watching the show.
And there was, I believe, was it Leah Brackett who wrote the first draft of Empire Strikes Back? And she came up with a load of shit. even stuff that was.
Tauntauns?
I can't remember. I can't list the stuff she wrote, but she wrote the original
I
draft of
thought
it.
these things
came up
smelled
with-
bad on the outside.
But one of the things, amusingly, that she came up with for Empire that was never used was Darth Vader having a fucking Death Fortress.
Yes.
Yeah, but she died after writing the first draft, and then someone, because she was dying at the time when she wrote it. So someone else wrote the next one. But like Empire, George Lucas, he didn't even direct.
I wonder.
He didn't direct 3 either. Richard Marquand did, but Lucas sort of was over his shoulder in that one. But like the Empire, the best Star Wars, George Lucas had almost nothing to do with.
Just good. So let's call it spoilers now. So end the video here if you don't want to know. Although it's out in America already, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was out in America before it was out here.
Well, I didn't remember if it was one of the ones we got first or not.
No, this is not a Marvel film.
Oh, well. Alright, so spoilers. From here on, you've been warned, and you get no one but yourself to blame on the internet. So, you know the part where your man, the director, goes to visit Vader in his Doom Fortress? Is that the same planet where he got burned to shit?
Yep.
Okay, I was thinking
they
about that.
don't state it, but it's
It's
probably.
implied.
They use some. It looks like they use some of the same footage, and
Alright.
you know the Emperor insisting on building the fortress right where he was burned to shit is pretty funny.
Yeah. This is my Doom Fortress. I was burned to shit right over there.
Yeah, and the Emperor makes me fear. I don't like it.
Although, one of the things that, like,
it's coarse
I
and
really
rough
wish
and gets everywhere.
we hadn't been shown was him in the Bacta tank.
Mm.
And I was like, no, I don't want to see him like that. He's big and powerful.
I don't want to be reminded of Hayden Christensen.
Well, no, I mean, like when I was a little teeny kid, like Darth Vader, we had a tank for what my parents went through the tropical fish phase that many adults went through in the early 80s, and we were always trying to keep this tank of tropical fish alive. And I had a wee catfish. You know, you're supposed to have a catfish and snails to eat the algae off the sides, and I named my catfish Darth Vader. I had rainbow tetras named Luke and Leia too, but they died. Because we got kissing gouramis that had a disease called ick, and it killed pretty much everything in the tank. This happened, unfortunately, while I was recovering from one of my numerous eye surgeries as a toddler. So my parents just, desperately tried to restock the whole entire tank so I wouldn't notice. And I'm sitting there with a patch over one eye, still drugged to shit. Like, what's wrong with my fish?
Oh, they're all different colors now.
But I was rewarded with a Gremlins eraser set. Because my parents had seen it I didn't actually see the movie Gremlins until I was in 6th grade, but the merchandising was everywhere, and Gizmo was cute. And I really had been begging for a plushie Gizmo, and my dad had been down in the cafeteria in Children's Hospital, and he had to come up past the gift shop, and there was a Gremlins stationery set. And they gave it to me. I was actually recovering from anesthetic in my parents' bed.
Did you ever get a Gizmo plushie?
No, but I'm over it. I mean, we sell them at the shop now. We have Gizmo and Stripe, so if I really wanted to plunk down, I think it's like $14 or $16.99 sterling, I could have one, but quite honestly, I'm over it. I used to have a Stitch plushie, too, from Lilo and Stitch, and I don't remember what happened to it. Why not? But we're talking about everything except Star Wars. Sorry about that. But it was really very enjoyable. All the cameos were enjoyable. You know what came back? That little wee Imperial droid that goes...
The mouse droid, I think it's called.
Oh, is that what it's called?
I think so.
And then Chewie yells like I loved it. And then Bail Organa was, and I was like, that's Bail Organa. I recognize him. And that's pretty good because usually I have bad face recognition skills.
Yep.
And he's like, well, I better get back to Alderaan. I'll see you guys. They're like, no, don't go.
I'm waiting for them to film some extra stuff for A New Hope for an eventual re-release of Alderaan, of him and his wife on Alderaan being all like, yo, what's that? Oh, it's the motherfucking Death Star. And then he's like, oh, shit. And then, some sort of a scene like that before it blows up.
I think I just wait, hold on a second. So...
I've broken her.
No. Oh, no, I was thinking something else. Never mind. Go on.
No, I just think that would be a good idea. Don't put it in there into all versions of the film. Always have a version of the original way.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with changing films as long as the original version is still readily available. Like Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. I want them to go back and film some stuff for the Moria section to ram home the fact that the Balin in the tomb is the old elderly Scottish dwarf from The Hobbit, and the one holding the fucking book with the story, that's the young one from The Hobbit, who wants to know if they have any chips when they're in Elrond's place. And the fact that the one with the ear trumpet, he died in the Watch in the Water. I want them to do an extended version of Gandalf reading what happened to them and then filming it. So we can see a bunch of dwarves from The Hobbit being killed. Because as it is, if you watch both of them in The Hobbit first and then Lord of the Rings, you get the feeling that the dwarves are really, really shitty. Because they only send Gimli when all these dwarf warriors who were, Gandalf helped them, like, they don't help out. Now, obviously everyone knows that Glowin is Gimli's dad, and he was in The Hobbit, but Glowin is not a main character in The Hobbit, and he looks nothing like he does in Lord of the Rings. In fact, Glowin in The Hobbit has massive fucking scars on his face, which he doesn't have in Lord of the Rings.
The elves healed him.
Clearly!
Galadriel kissed him.
But still, I would love to...
Do you know that one of the dwarves is the provost of my uni?
Yes. James
Nesbitt.
Yes.
But yeah, so anyway, no, it was really good, and I loved the droid, affectionately nicknamed, literally 3 lines in, as Asshole Bot. I love Asshole Bot.
Alan Tudyk Bot.
He's so great. I'm an asshole. So, what's the name of the actress who played Jin?
Felicity something.
She, I believe, was hired on the strength of her glare. Because then the first thing, when you first, see her as an adult character, the first thing I notice is, oh my god, she's very good at conveying things with her eyes.
You know what her first job was in acting? No, maybe not exact first, but first big one? On British TV.
Tell me it was a cereal advert. Or something like that.
British children's TV playing the Worst Witch in the TV version of the Worst Witch. The one that was made... made 5 years after the Fruza Balk one. This is an unrelated other adaptation. So her and Fruza Balk played the same character. I was too old when it came out for me to give a shit. I was all about the Fruza Balk one, which I reviewed. So, but I looked at her IMDb and I was like, holy shit, she played that one. Okay. She was also in Amazing Spider-Man 2, but I'm not going to hold that against her.
No, you can't win them all.
Yeah.
But no, she did a really good job, and I really enjoyed her. And I really had no faith in Galen because I kept expecting his eyes to go purple and sparkly, and then he'd have to have a fight with Benedict Cumberbatch.
His eyes stayed heterosexual the entire film this time.
No, it's just because he was just in Doctor Strange. And
so he lost his family.
My child, Dormammu blesses you. Yeah.
I was always kind of hoping that maybe
he didn't die, and maybe he's because Dormammu touched his mind, he's immortal. Because this was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and through the multiverse, he ended up a student of the Ancient One.
I think that's why he's pissed off.
Canon confirmed.
But I was kind of hoping, because he's Scandinavian, that he would...
Oh, is he? I wonder what that accent was.
He's learned English with a vaguely American accent, but yeah, I'm mispronouncing his name. It's written Mads Mikkelsen. Mm-hmm. It's pronounced way different, but it's
actually pronounced Throat Wobbler Mangrove.
Probably, but I was hoping,
half of our audience is probably too young to get that joke.
We're technically too young to get that joke, but we're familiar with stuff from before our time, like they
are. No, because my parents quoted Monty Python all the time when I was wee. And then, of course, when...
No, my point was, you can know of stuff from before your time.
Yeah, but we're really expert. Old. Shut up, I'm awesome.
I was kind of hoping he would survive and become Max von Sydow, because he's also Scandinavian in The Force Awakens. The sort of cyborg, the guy in charge of the village at the start there. It would have been a nice little connection thing. Obviously didn't happen. I've
become a different actor. How this happened, I don't know.
Well, recasting because he's 50 years older.
Oh, yeah. So what else was really good? It was really cool seeing Peter Cushing alive again. But it was you could tell it was CGI.
Yeah, we're not quite there. I mean...
but hey, really good, though.
The disconcerting thing for me, the face was obvious.
Well, his cheekbones were kind of lunging, and it made him look a wee bit reptilian, because his skin looked a bit moist. And I'm like, did you just get out the shower?
Occasionally his face would do something weird from animated, but I think they also CGI'd his uniform too.
You think so?
I think so. I would love to see some behind the scenes footage, like whether it was because I know that there was an actor who played the part and did the voice. So was he in a full mocap suit, or did they put him in a uniform and then mocap his face? Because it looked like his uniform was CGI.
Why pay for extra CGI when you could just have a slim, tall actor?
I don't know. I mean,
I like the Mon Calamari.
Apparently, Lucas was looking into trying to create a digital Peter Cushing for Revenge of the Sith, but unfortunately,
it just wasn't there yet.
No, it was. Lucas thought. Well, no, Lucas thought it was. The main problem was Peter Cushing insisted on playing the part wearing slippers because the boots were really, really uncomfortable. So he was shot. He was shot from the legs, from the knees up, and so and the shot with Tarkin.
Your devotion to this tired old religion, and he's wearing bunny slippers.
Yes, but if you look at the shot from Revenge of the Sith, it's a full-on long shot. Mm. Couldn't use it. That's why they got the guy who played Scorpius in Farscape in really, really frightening makeup.
That's really, really funny. But, I mean, it was just good. Just everything about it was really good. I mean...
What I liked is... Okay, Force Awakens, it's a rehash of the original trilogy. It's like random elements from the first two, like Empire and New Hope put together. And it's got the same tone as them. Which, a lot of people love, that's cool. The one thing I appreciate about the prequels, except for the music and possibly like some of the more some of the fighting, especially Duel of the Fates, was really well done. The only other thing I really appreciated in the prequels was the fact that it had a very different tone than the originals.
And Christopher Lee.
Well, yeah, Christopher Lee. The Oral Knots version is really good too, but. It had a completely different tone.
I would have liked the Oral Knots a lot better if I just stumbled upon them randomly. Not like, oh my god, the Oral Knots have released a 1-second video. Let's watch it immediately.
I can't wait until they do Rogue One. But the one thing I liked about this, the one extra thing, way over at Force Awakens, was that this one had a completely different tone again. Like Lucas said, whenever he wanted to do 7, 8, and 9, and he gave his sort of the synopsis of what he wanted to do with it, but he just gave up on. He got bored or whatever, and he wanted to do a different tone again. Like he said, he wanted to have children be the main characters. So I have no idea what the fuck he was going for.
No,
and it was
because they don't get like the Ewoks.
And it would probably be terrible, but he clearly wanted to have each trilogy feel different and unique, as though they were their own thing. And if he made Force Awakens have the tone of Rogue One, I would have liked it much more, because it's its own thing.
And it does have it just really felt fun. Like, one pick that I do have, I'm just dying to know everybody. It doesn't matter if they were in the Rebel Alliance, or if they were, like, some person on some planet, or in the Empire. They had their uniforms, even if it was just regular clothes, contained these metal pegs. And sometimes they were ceremonial, like in the Empire, they were obviously ceremonial, but then some people had, like, there's 3 of them, and they're, like, just like, what are these things?
That's 70s costuming, honey. They were in the original.
Are they, like, tools? And, like what? But no, they were like substantial props. I need this information.
They were in the original. It was just it's like the sort of the idea that sci-fi movies, computers have to have flashing lights on them, otherwise people won't know they're computers. Like early Babylon 5 had an entire wall of just flashing lights, and then they were removed whenever someone pointed out those actually aren't doing anything, and so they removed them. It's like that, but for costuming. It's like it's a sci-fi thing. We'll put these there. They clearly have some sort of a point.
Oh, I just want to know what they do. I'm sure in one of the DK guides to Star Wars, illustrated guides to Star Wars, it's there somewhere.
It's going to be all over the extended
I'm gonna check it tomorrow.
Let's see if Wikipedia has anything.
Wikipedia. Yeah, and there were some new aliens that we saw. Oh, you just get to see the guy from New Hope who gets into it with Obi-Wan in the pub in Tatooine, in the cantina, whatever. It was really good. I just, it was enjoyable. I had fun. There were 2 kids in front of us. I didn't make that much noise, so that was good. Are you looking it up?
I'm trying to.
You don't even know what to Google, do you? Because I wouldn't know what to Google either.
Yeah, I was looking at little metal pens. That's not helping. Little metal Star Wars costumes. It's all about actual costumes in Star Wars.
I'll check. We have literally we carry all the illustrated guides at work. But so yeah. What else? It was just good. I liked, how it's like you see things falling into place for New Hope, and I'm like,
I liked how Simon Farnaby was in it.
And pray tell, who is he?
He is a British comedian from Horrible Histories, the good Horrible Histories show, not the crappy animated one, the sketch comedy one, which is basically Monty Python but with historical stuff. But and who was also did a documentary about this crazy lady trying to find the body of Richard III through some really sketchy science, and then they actually did find it, and he was like, "Oh fuck! This was meant to be a point and laugh type documentary. This is actually like a touching, holy shit type documentary now. And he plays Blue 5, I think. He has like one line and then gets killed.
Gold leader, standing by.
So it's like, send it far to me!
We went to Lancaster. Or not Lancaster.
Leicester.
And saw the king. I was thinking about Lancaster County and those two got crossed. But I mean, I'm trying to think of like other things to say. Like I don't really have any major.
Yeah, there was very little white genocide going on. You know, some people on the internet were very sure that was
white genocide. Actually,
you know, although some people in that white genocide is a thing that's happening community do seem to think that white women not having sex with white men at any given moment is white genocide.
Oh.
So there are.
I mean, in all fairness, though,
the definition of genocide seems to be a bit weird.
I remember in the books that the Empire was very anti-alien.
Yeah,
they were human supremacists.
Yeah, one of the reasons this whole Trump sort of angry, you know, conspiracy theory of people like they made Rogue One be angry, be anti-Trump, this sort of insanity happened was because Chris Weitz, the writer, he tweeted out a thing saying that the Empire in Star Wars is a white supremacist anti-alien organization.
Well, I don't recall them being white supremacists. I just recall them being human supremacists.
How many non-white people have you seen in the Empire? Admittedly, in the original trilogy, there's not many anywhere.
Well, here's the thing: like, we don't know who's a stormtrooper. We don't know their races. We really literally see the officers and technicians.
Yeah, and they'll tend to English. This might be a side effect thing, but they're meant to be the Nazis in space, and they've continued it on that the Empire are.
What does that make Finn?
Yeah, he was, but that was the First Order.
Oh.
But they're meant to be, almost everyone in the Empire is meant to be, I think, Buddy Rook in this, the pilot guy.
Yeah.
He's from his actor's from Pakistani descent, and he was working for the Empire. So obviously it's not 100%, but symbolically it's meant to be a white supremacist film.
Oh, okay. I just thought they were
meant to be... It's like a sci-fi version.
I thought they were meant to be human supremacists.
Yeah, they are.
At least, like I said, I'm getting this from the books, so that I read in elementary school. So.
But they are. They are, but it's symbolic of the Nazis, and by accident or design, almost everyone cast to be an Empire person in the original trilogy was white. They're all English too, so if it's anti-white, it's also anti-English. Apparently, in universe, the English accent in Star Wars, maybe expanded universe only, the English accent is the Sith accent. The traditional Sith accent, because they were a race as well, and that's why so many...
It says a few things about the Tories, doesn't it?
That's why so many Imperial officers have this accent. You know, they deliberately put it on because it becomes fashionable, because the Emperor is a Sith.
Darth Vader talks like that.
He talks like a brother.
Yeah. So...
I'll shut up now.
No, you're fine. Like... If you've already seen it, I mean, this is no surprise. If you haven't seen it and you just want to watch the spoilers, it's grand. But, like, I actually kind of liked that there wasn't a happy ending. Like, there wasn't. Like, everyone dies. Not everyone, but, like, your main little squadron dies. And they die in poignant ways.
Apparently, we filmed about the last 20 minutes or so because the original one was too bleak.
Oh, Jesus. Well, you knew that they were going to get the plans out because you know that A New Hope happens. But, like... I don't know. It was the kind of thing that, like, they died, but that's okay because you knew that eventually their goal would be realized and the Death Star would be brought down.
Plus no one's expecting Rogue 2.
Yeah.
Although at the end of this film, Omega was like, is there a post-credit sequence
with
Marvel?
No, because now that they're owned by Disney, you don't know.
And then I was like, I said I didn't think so, but then it struck me the greatest reply ever. Well, yes, it's called A New Hope. It's a bit long.
Oh, they got to see Darth Vader whip out that lightsaber. Just, like, force throw people. Just, I'll take those guns, asshole.
It was a very nice scene to see, but the, you could tell James Earl Jones's age in several of his lines.
I know.
Which is, like, it just took me out of it a bit.
I wonder if they've asked him, and then this was such a sad thing to think about, I know they probably had, like, locked him in a room and be like, look, this is all the lines we need from Darth Vader for, like, the next 17 movies. You need to do them right now. But, like, it also made me wonder, like, if they've had him sign a release for the digital use of his voice after his death.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And that made me really sad. And he was really
Well,
like, well, you've got a point.
If he's recorded it for a project, then they've got those lines and they can do what they like with them. Like, they use some of Alec Guinness's dialogue in
The Force Awakens.
Yeah. And they used, well, obviously they used Peter Cushing's likeness in this. It's legal.
Yeah, I know, but I guess, like, it's always best if you get the actual person to sign off on it.
Well, yeah. Well, there are laws against using likenesses without the actor's consent. That is as a result of Back to the Future 2 reusing footage of Crispin Glover in Back to the Future 1.
Yeah, but he's
and him
mental.
suing. He is, but Crispin Glover, he didn't want to do Back to the Future 2. And so he requested an insane amount of money to get out of it. And then they rewrote the script so he was barely in it, so we cast someone else. But then they used some of footage of him without his consent, and they didn't pay him. And then he sued them, and that created a law saying that you've got to pay actors to use their images, even if you filmed them for another film of yours.
Okay, that makes sense. I guess I can get
I could be wrong about one or two of those details, but it's generally that.
If you're Crispin Glover, please don't write the show.
Oh, if you're Crispin Glover, I fucking love Ben. Not Ben. No, Ben's the sequel. The one with the mouse. Willard. You're fucking awesome.
I don't know. I've never seen it. Please don't sue me. But yeah, no, it was really good. I mean, like, keep trying to think of like really great points. But I just really enjoyed myself. You know, I don't know how I usually say, well, I enjoyed myself and that's all that really counts, even if it was a bad movie. But I felt like the art direction was really good. It really did have the look and feel, even though it was filmed, like, 40 years later, of, like, the aesthetic of the Empire from the 70s. It just, in costume design and art direction, just everything. I enjoyed the score. You said you wanted it to be a bit different, but I did enjoy it.
I wish it wasn't sound so... It sounded like regurgitated... because regurgitated sacrifice.
Oh, Jesus.
Regurgitated John Williams.
I don't think it did.
And
it sounded exciting.
I can bring up complaints. You know, I like the film. I really like the film. You know, I think it's better. It's either second or third best
So we'll
Star
be getting
Wars.
this on DVD.
But there is... Near the end, okay, they transmit the plans to the Rebel fleet, and then the Rebels, a lot of them jump away, and then you've got the main ship gets boarded and it's stopped, and then they're trying to get the plans because they put them on a disc, only one disc though, and then they try to get these discs to everyone else to get to the blockade runner, and then the blockade runner flies off, into the start of Star Wars A New Hope.
And jumps off into lightspeed.
Yeah. Unfortunately, if you remember the start of A New Hope, it's on a diplomatic mission, or at least its cover is it's on a diplomatic mission. In this one, it's a case of Vader sees the blockade runner undock from this ship and then, go off. So the excuse is entirely ridiculous. It's basically the equivalent...
That's you know what it is? You know what it is? It's your dad. It is literally your dad saying, like, did you eat these cookies? And there is frosting from the cookies all over your face. Like, no, I didn't. I was in my room playing Nintendo. You're telling me you did not... You did not eat these cookies. Nah. And there's crumbs all over your shirt and frosting all over your face. And I think even though, like, that just reinforces all that. And that's Leia's balls, in the face of the second in command of the Empire being like, no, we're totally on diplomatic mission.
Actually, if you look at A New Hope, Tarkin is clearly Vader's superior in the hierarchy.
Yeah, but who...
Tarkin is holding Vader's leash.
Yeah, but Vader could force choke a bitch anytime he wants.
He could, but Tarkin outranks him.
I wonder what the Emperor's plans were. Like, was he planning to play Tarkin and Vader off each other?
No, they both work for him in different ways. Tarkin's military, Vader is enforcer.
Yeah, but Vader's like Sith apprentice, and I think that like automatically makes him more important, and both more important than Tarkin, but also more of a threat than Tarkin, as it was come to bear upon the Emperor.
Well, yeah, Tarkin's not going to try and assassinate the Emperor and take over.
Right. And he wouldn't... I don't think the Emperor would believe that his own apprentice could. But there's always that chance. Jedi are powerful, so are Sith.
Well, they're supposed to.
Yeah.
According to their silly rules. But, I kind of wish, like, the blockade runner... They got that... the big ship had sent the message to the blockade runner, which it was somewhere else, so then they were like, we're totally on a mission! Because it also strikes me as a bit weird that they fucking bring Princess Leia on the blockade runner, but still to this fucking battle, which they all thought they were going to lose.
Well, I see two possibilities here. One is it was a plan to have her as cover, although that's really, really, really stupid. Like, so you know, you're a part of this, okay, you're this attack, this coordinated fleet attack, okay, that's grand. Or it was something independently concocted by her and Captain Antilles that nobody else was aware of.
Well, possible. But we're just either we've just gone over or we're about to sort of skip because this thing goes in like 35-minute bits. So sorry if there was a little jump. We should end the video.
We should. It was really good. Go see it. If you're a Star Wars fan, I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy it. You might find some nitpicks here and there, but overall it was very good. And I said back in the day, you know, oh no, Disney bought Star Wars, this could only be tragedy. But on Twitter some people were saying, but no, it could be good. It could be good. And it has been. It has borne fruit.
Because they let them do their thing, like with Marvel.
Good on you, Disney. May the Force be with you. Everyone.